Hi, Marcy. How are you? Good. Checking to make sure I'm not on camera. I'm checking to make sure I'm not on camera. Okay. Steve. Aloha. How are you?
Fine.
Good. Y'all acclimated?
Yeah, 3 days.
Good. Good.
Each time zone takes about a day. So I'm back.
Okay, good. I've actually.
So I'm going to see you tomorrow at 9.
Yeah.
Okay, and I haven't heard anything from Diane.
No, she emailed us.
Did she?
Yeah. Maybe she had your wrong email address. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Yeah, she. Oh, you're fine. No, there's nothing.
No, we now it's all yours. Go ahead.
Don't put your hand here. Okay.
How'd that sound? That was okay. Betsy, next time can I have a xylophone and do the, the da, 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 like for a horse race? Okay. All right. Welcome everyone for the 6th of April Nepenthe Board meeting. Thanks for coming. What a nice day, huh? My goodness. We should be doing this outside. I wish we could. Yeah.
Zoom capacity outside.
Well, it's hard enough to hear and hear. So anyway, welcome. We have a relatively brief agenda tonight. And I'd like to begin right away. I want to remind everyone, particularly if you haven't come before, you will have 3 opportunities to speak. There are 2 homeowners forums. And then if there is a particular agenda item that you would like to speak on, you can speak on those as well. I just remind you that you will be limited to 3 minutes and ask you to be courteous and concise. And that's been working well. And so I'm sure this will be a good way to do it tonight. So we had an executive meeting at 1 o'clock, which lasted until like 2:30.
3:30.
3:30. Oh, you're right. It was so much fun. Those are typically for if we're trying to negotiate a contract with someone or if there's some sort of disciplinary action, those are done kind of in executive session. So it's kind of done secretly. Everything else we do in the open. So there's a limit on what can be done in the executive session. Have I covered that accurately, Betsy?
Yeah, we looked at delinquencies. We did have some member discipline issues and yeah, that covers it.
Okay. So moving on to the next agenda item, rather than asking every committee chair to speak, I will only ask them to speak if they want to. So oftentimes committee chairs really don't have anything to say. So rather than call on you and say, I have nothing to say, let's just see who is here as a committee chair who would like to speak. So any volunteers?
I think Emily would like to speak.
Emily, could you come up to the microphone, please? She wants money.
Well, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Ma Nakanishi. I am the Outreach Committee Chair. I am here today. It's summarized in our meeting minutes. So if you have any questions about any of those items, let me know. But the one thing I want to talk about, it will be covered in the new business later, where we will be requesting action of the board. I'm recapping it now because I have to go off to soccer and
Why don't you cover it now?
pick up people.
Yeah, we'll just deal with the
So-
agenda item now.
So we are in the process of planning the 50th anniversary of Nepenthe, which is this year. Woo-hoo. So 10 years ago, we had the 40th anniversary celebration at Nepenthe. So we'd like to throw a 50th anniversary celebration where we would like to invite our community members to come and celebrate. When our committee met, we talked about sometime potentially a Saturday in June, 4 to 6 p.m.-ish. We would like to invite our community members. We'd like it to be a free event, welcoming to all, beverages, food. This was covered 10 years ago. And yeah, but beer, wine, non-alcoholic beverages, decor, food and cake, that was all covered at the 40th anniversary. So we'd like to just throw a celebratory event and invite our community out. And we are requesting from the board an estimate of not to exceed $2,500 for this event.
Bessie, where is that on the agenda so we can deal with that?
It's under new business and
Oh, there it is. Item 9A. Okay. Any objection from the board members on this request?
Already sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay.
The letter looked really good
With
too.
the-
Oh, yes, and thank you,
Yeah.
Ashley.
Okay.
So there's also a new welcome letter that our committee drafted that Betsy and Normal are so graciously going to send out to our new community members who move in. It's a welcome letter template, welcoming them to our community, letting them to know about our fabulous coffees on the weekends and our website, all the things they want to know. There's also a copy in your packet as well.
Okay. Well, Betsy has left, but
Would you actually like that motion? To approve that?
Yeah,
sure.
let's do it.
I mean, since Emily's still here.
I so move that we approve $2,500 for our 50th year
Okay.
celebration.
And I second.
All right. Any objections, any of you? Unanimous consent, that's approved.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for bumping me up. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't count it at
I
half.
hope you all come.
Yeah.
This is your invitation.
Yeah.
Okay.
More to come. Thank you.
All right. Other committee members or committee chairs who would like to speak? Hearing none, let's move along then. Betsy, it's time for you to give your management report.
My report's pretty comprehensive, so unless the directors have any questions, I think we could probably just move on to the homeowner forum.
Any questions from any of the directors? Okay. Okay, it's time for the first homeowner forum. Again, if you'd like to speak, just let us know. You'll have 3 minutes. So who in the room would like to speak?
You should probably.
Jerry?
I really don't mean to be a wet blanket, but I do question the amount of $2,500 for a celebration for 50th anniversary.
You want
I
it
could have a-
bigger or smaller?
Pardon me?
You want it bigger or smaller?
I just question the amount because what are you going, this clubhouse can only hold like 100 people. So I don't understand what kind of event you're going to have that's going to cost $2,500. We're all very concerned. It's come up over and over and over again about the cost of things and the raise of maintenance fees and whatnot. And I'm just questioning. I'm not sure that this has been looked at thoroughly. That's all.
All right, thank you.
And Jerry, it was a not to exceed
Right.
too. It wasn't that it will definitely go to 2,500. It was a not to exceed because the committee does have, they could potentially look at, there's like $300 left over from the jazz festival and things. So it's not necessarily that much.
Well, it still is. I'm just wondering what those funds are going to be spent on.
Well, I think we're going to find out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Oh, There's
Yes, sir.
door.
Would you come up and use the microphone, please?
Do you want me to bring it?
Thank you.
Good evening. It's just really a question. I'm one of the homeowners that wrote a letter. I didn't know if that was appropriate for now or will we come up on the agenda?
Yes, you're going to come up under homeowner correspondence, which actually is the next item. So I wouldn't be real quick about sitting down because, well, we may have some other speakers. So yeah, you're going to come up.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Anyone else in the room? How about anyone online? Anyone like to speak? I guess not. Okay. All right. Let's move to homeowner correspondence, and you're going to be up. Betsy, could you bring the letter up, please? Okay. And rather than read it, would you like to address your letter?
Yes,
And make sure when everybody speaks, identify yourself so it
I'm
shows,
glad to.
yeah, it shows up in the record. Yeah.
I'm going to throw my back at someone. My name is Jim Shaw. My wife and I live at 608 Elmhurst Circle. And our objective or goal, as evidenced in the letter, was to really have the ability to plant flowers to enhance the beauty of our front entry. Specifically in the tree ring in front of our yard and the walkway leading from the sidewalk to our front door. This motivated our March 14 letter, which you see on the screen to the board, a copy, which I believe is in your packet. Specifically, we're proposing that we would submit an application detailing the areas that we wanted to work with. We'd install plants selected from a list approved by the homeowners association's landscape specialist and appropriate zone grounds representative. We'd like to be responsible for the cost of the plants and their installation. We would be available to discuss and if needed, modify our plan as part of the process to secure approval of our application. And briefly in closing, I realize you only have a minute or two. We realize that we're touching on a subject that has some history. In the spirit of clearing the air or moving on or whatever you want to call it, we offer a single two-step process for consideration. First and foremost, let's live with what's here. Call it grandfathering, baselining, or whatever. But as importantly, and second, let's craft a process for putting in supplemental landscaping that's consistent with an agreed upon standard or standards that really will enhance our community in a controlled manner rather than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Well, it's quite fortuitous that you bring that up because various board members have been talking about this with a great deal of agreement of what you're talking about.
I'm sorry.
We have discussed this individually, board members. I think your proposal has a ton of merit. And we are proposing, perhaps with your help, to come up with some guidelines so that things like you're proposing, planting near front doors and whatnot can be done with, say, an approved planting list, some requirements for maintenance, a few other things. And I'm glad you brought this up because this has been an issue that's been hanging around. And I think we can definitely deal with it. There's got to be a middle ground. And I think we can craft something to do that.
We'd be delighted to participate.
Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you.
so John, I have something to add to this, and
Yeah.
that is, I don't want to leave out the grounds committee. And so just kind of like we did with the paint, it would be nice to task the grounds committee with coming up with some kind of guidelines to do this and then making a recommendation to the board.
We would welcome that. I think there's precedent we've seen in place when we had to make an architectural modification for windows. This is the same template that we have in mind.
Yeah.
Same approval, application, modification.
Sure.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So rest assured, we're going to get on this.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold you to it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Oh, are you looking at?
Yeah, there's another letter.
Yeah,
Steve, would you like to speak?
I think you would.
So I am the chair of that grounds committee. So I want to make sure that whatever assignment we get is clear. What I don't think I'm hearing is should we or should we not enforce the CC&Rs with regard to homeowners planting in the common area? I think what you're saying is we do not intend to enforce that provision. Is that correct?
Well, Steve, there are provisions in the community rules that can deal with this. And I think that's the direction we're likely to take.
Okay, so that is.
Take a look at the community rules. I can show you where it is. There
Oh,
is a
no, I know.
provision.
Yeah, I know where it all is.
Okay, yeah.
So my purpose in making that recommendation, Steve, was because I think we need the knowledge of the grounds committee and a recommendation from them. And maybe your recommendation is to not allow this as a committee, but
All right, that's a different assignment.
No, I
So
said
one
that.
assignment could be, should we enforce them or not?
Well,
The
see, for
other
one,
possible assignment is we intend not to enforce them. So put some structure on this. Give us some recommendations as to structure.
there is space in the CCNRs to allow this. There is space in it. I have read them. 5.4 of the CCNRs allows cooperation, collaboration in maintaining our common area. So that is there. It does allow that. We have in the past allowed homeowners with guidance to plant in the common area. And I think this board is ready to do that again.
I think the section you're referring to is here, Mary, and I may not,
No, it's
Be
5.4 is what. I'm
well, it
referring
does
to.
say here that upon written approval of the board.
Yeah. that one,
So
Yeah. So it's there.
So I would say, you're smirking at me, I can see.
No, If I'm going to engage a lot of volunteer time on this, I want to know what the charge is.
I will tell you, I've already seen some guidelines for this, which we will work together and then provide to you for your input. I think it'll be very clear when you get it.
Okay, you're going to give us something in writing in the end?
Absolutely.
Good, okay.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right. Yes. Sure. Please identify yourself.
Yes, my name is Lisa Tafoya.
Hi, Lisa.
And I'm on the grounds committee. I live at 711 Dunbarton. Now, it's my understanding that we will be addressing just the front doors. Did I hear that correctly? No.
There's anything decided.
Oh, okay.
Wide open.
Thought that maybe
No.
it was just,
That's not been decided.
okay, then it wasn't clear to me, but if you can put something in writing so that we understand what our mission will be,
Sure.
that would be
Yeah.
great. But I think at the last grounds committee meeting, Marcus did mention that Nepenthe was close to closing the contract and approving the contract for a landscape architect. And I think it might be a good idea to work with him and get his input because he is an expert at this. You know,
I
that's
think
his.
that we can address that right now. Marcus, would you?
Okay, we actually just talked briefly this afternoon about this possibility, okay? And I think we are talking too much about it already and don't want to mislead anybody in the wrong direction. We want to draft very clear guidelines that there are no misunderstandings, and we the board is going to consult obviously with the grounds committee. We just had the walk a long meeting and a walk with Garth Ruffner on Monday, and I think it was very productive. And he guided us, helped us going, I believe, in the right direction. And I think in the future we want to work with him, with the grounds committee, establish some guidelines that I hope most of us will be happy with, okay? And we're not gonna allow people to plant whatever they want to do, but we haven't really put anything in writing yet. So I really don't think we need to discuss this too much at this point.
Okay, but something will be put in. writing for
Absolutely.
us.
It will be very clear. So there will be no,
Cooperation with the landscape architect.
No, that's the way
I
either.
promise you that the landscape committee will be included. That's what the landscape committee is for.
Okay, we might need something signed in Villette. I'm joking.
Well,
You
Lisa,
have my word.
we actually talked about this in our long meeting with the landscape architect on Monday.
Okay,
He's very supportive of this idea. He's going to be providing us with suggested planting lists. So
Oh,
we
that's
will definitely
wonderful.
involve him in this.
yeah, because I'm sure many homeowners would appreciate that because it gives them more of a stake in their community.
Sure.
And, you know, curb appeal, when your guests come, that's the first introduction to your home
Mhm.
and the community.
Sure.
So it'd be
Yeah.
nice to have that personal touch to it.
So, I think this is a big step for the association and we're going to take it seriously, but I think this board's very supportive of this idea.
Oh, great. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
All right, thanks for
Thank you.
speaking. Okay, we have another,
Wait, someone, John Bloomer, is he waving his hand? I can't tell.
John Bloomer, are you raising your hand to speak?
Yes, I am. I certainly am. I just wanted to thank the Shaws for their excellent letter. I think it's, as you all have recognized, that it's brewed around here for a while. And I'd also like to talk to the landscape
John,
committee.
could you speak up, please? We're having a hard
Sure.
time
Can you
hearing
can you hear me now, John? Can you hear me?
Not very much.
Oh, well,
Now we can.
Now we can.
okay, great.
Gotcha, okay.
I'm glad that you're taking it up. The other thing that I think we have to be careful of is I would urge you to be careful of the landscape committee, because it wasn't about a month ago that I submitted a picture of my front lawn to Betsy, and Betsy was good enough to transfer it over to somebody on the landscaping committee. And just like the Shaws, that didn't get an answer back. I have not heard from the landscaping committee. So keep up the good work, see if you can get this through, and maybe you guys can all get together. I think it's a marvelous change and a movement to a new level. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate the comment. Okay, we have another homeowners correspondence.
We do, right, on the screen from Diana Vizard. Just some general notes about the colors for paint. And so I don't know if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Director Mary Gray would like to address this.
Yeah, we're all aware that changing paint colors is a very sensitive topic for all of us. It's our community, they're our homes, and a change like this is very sensitive. So a couple things to let you all know. Number one, they're all back there for you guys to all look at, including paint swabs. So if you're interested, they are there. Number two, nothing is cast in concrete. We could, right now it shows a trim color. There could be no trim color. It's an open, today, nothing has been decided. A question has been asked about, well, how are we supposed to move forward with the siding and all those kinds of things if we're still waiting on choosing colors? We can move ahead with the siding without actually having selected a color or colors. We've selected the paint quality, the highest quality, so we know what kind of paint we will put on the homes. The directors have discussed a process because we would like every homeowner to have a chance to have input on this topic. So what we are proposing to do is to do it through a questionnaire. Every single person will receive this questionnaire by email. If you don't currently correspond with us through email, there'll be paper copies. But we really want to hear from everyone. And with that input in hand, we'll be able to make a decision for our community. But just before we even get to that point, we are engaging with the architectural committee and waiting for their input. We've asked for their guidance. So first, we're going to hear from the architectural committee, and then we're going to move on to those other steps.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Now, is Diana, are you on?
I think I saw Will was on.
Okay. All right. Now it's time to go to the consent calendar. This, just so everybody understands how this works, there are a number of items on here, all administrative. And rather than have a big, long talk about all of them together, we approve them en masse. So Do I have any questions from the board, or we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move we approve. I move we approve the consent calendar items A through E.
Okay, may I have a second?
Just, I need a second. Hold on, my papers got mixed up.
I can bring everything up on the screen if you want me to.
Oh, yeah, what's A through E? We've got that. Okay.
It's the approval of minutes, the financial statements, the architecture.
I'll second it. Okay.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, any objections from the board?
No.
Without objection, approved. Okay, unfinished business item, Roman numeral 8, tree removal, I'm sorry, tree remediation policy. Right. Let me see if I can explain this, and Betsy or Steve, catch me if I got this wrong. We have a number of locations in the community where we have had to remove trees, mostly because they were sick. And those of you who have had that done near your home, there have been ugly eyesore areas that haven't been fixed afterwards. And so the grounds committee, Steve, thank you very much, asked if they could develop a policy so we would have direction on what to do with those ugly areas after a tree's been taken out. So we've actually received this from the grounds committee, seeing it now. Steve, would you like to speak about this any more than what we're seeing on the screen?
No, I think it's short. It's easily
Okay,
read.
all right,
Directors have a question, I'll answer.
okay.
I have one thing I would like to add is just, I think what makes our neighborhood so beautiful is all the trees. And I understand that we can't always plant a tree where we took one out. But I think at the end of the year, like, let's say we remove 20 trees. I would like to consider, trying to replant 20 trees somewhere else. So we always are keeping trees here, but I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but I like this.
Okay, good. Well, they're just, to give you some perspective, we have about 2,000 trees
Oh, okay.
and about 2% every year are removed. So that's 40 trees. And by and large, we replace them. But I think you're right, Ashley. In some cases, you don't necessarily want to put a new tree where a tree was. Or you may take down a large shade tree. And if there are other large shade trees around it, then an ornamental tree would be more appropriate.
I think and Lisa, this is response to your question about the landscape architect. We actually talked to him about this on Monday, and he said, you don't want to plant a new tree where there was an old tree, because the old tree roots are still there and they're going to take all the nutrients and the new tree is going to die. And I didn't know that, but it makes sense. Okay, thank you, Steve. Yes.
I have one question still. So the one, so where is the board involved here? It says the general manager will provide tree removal remediation proposals approved, but not says approved mean approved by the board?
Yes,
Oh, can we add that just so it's clear? Because I don't approve.
but there wouldn't be anybody else who would
Okay.
approve it.
All right.
Okay.
That seems clear to everyone. Is that clear?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah, it is. That's what I understood.
Okay, I just needed to
Okay.
make sure.
May I have a motion to approve this policy?
I would like to make the
Okay.
motion.
We have a second? Second. Okay, Marcus has moved. Linda has seconded. Any questions, objections from the board?
No.
Okay, without objection, approved.
Steve, very nicely done.
Yeah, this is really good, Steve. Okay.
Steve and committee.
Yeah. Request, new business request for outreach committed for funding.
We did that.
That one's done. Okay, all right. Item B, accept financial review and tax returns from CPA. Betsy, could you explain this, please?
This is really more of a housekeeping resolution. The tax returns have been prepared. You contracted with the CPA last fall for this purpose. They were provided under separate cover. Since this board packet gets put onto our public website, we don't necessarily want to publish our review, but there wasn't anything strange. And once you have accepted the review, it'll be mailed out to all of the members individually.
Right, okay. Any questions from the board? We have a motion to approve this.
I move to approve it.
Okay,
Mary,
Mary and Linda, any objections from the board?
No.
Without objection, approved. Investment actions. Betsy, could you walk us through this?
Yeah, so Carla Chung reached out to me to let me know that there was quite a bit of cash accumulating and needed to be invested. And so she prepared these. In fact, let me try and bring that up on the screen so that we can all see it. Okay. Okay, so yeah, there are 5 actions. One is a combined A and B to move funds from already reserve accounts that we own and put them into reserve money market accounts. And this was reviewed by the Finance Committee, and their minutes do recommend approving these transfers.
Okay. Susan Timmer, I see you're on. Did you want to add anything to this? Okay.
That's it.
there we
No,
are.
I don't have anything. Sorry, John, I was trying to unmute. No, I don't have anything to add to it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, all right. Any questions from the board members?
No, I would just want to add that when I looked at this maybe 6 months ago, interest rates were so low and it was recommended not by the committee, but basically to lock in some of the rates, but we waited, we kind of decided just to wait. So the rates have gone up. So I think it's probably about 40,000 more a year than what it looked like, 6 months ago. So it's good.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I move to approve it.
Ashley? if
Second.
Okay, good. Okay, all right. Any questions, comments from the board members?
Oh, I never do the moves.
Okay. Without objection, approved, Betsy. Right. Item 9D, proposal for pre-remediations in zones 3 and 4. Betsy, would you introduce this? And I'd like to ask Steve to weigh in on it.
Yeah, so as you recall, from last month's board meeting, we had identified approximately 58, I think, sites where trees had been removed over the course of 2020, 2021, and 2022. And due to the poor performance by Coast, our previous landscaper, those areas were not remediated. In other words, the trees were removed and the stumps were ground, but there was no further action. And now that Carson has had some time to get acclimated to Nepenthe, it's like past time to get these taken care of. So they have prepared proposals for each of these tree removal sites, and each of the ground stewards for zones 3 and 4 walked each of these proposals with the representative from Carson, with Steve Huffman and myself. And they discussed them at some length at the board, at their meeting that they had on March 17th, I believe, and recommend all of these proposals for board approval.
Okay. Steve, do you want to weigh in on this at all? Okay, all right. Betsy, I have a question. Last month, we did 2 other zones.
Actually, I think we did 4 other zones. We did
Okay.
all other zones other than 3
Are
and
these the
4.
last ones?
This is it.
And how long have some of these been hanging around?
Like I said, some of these removals go back to 2020
Okay.
when we were all locked up in our houses.
Yes, Lisa? Please come to the microphone, please.
I have a question regarding Zone 3, 2312 through 16. We still haven't agreed on that because Jolene, the other
It says
zone.
next month. Do you
Okay,
see?
it's going to be for next month, yes, because we haven't come to an agreement yet. So I'm glad it's being held. So very good.
Yeah, there's just one outstanding proposal.
I just moved that I'm okay with amounts, but after meeting with the landscape architect, I think he gave us some really good feedback and we're going to start including him to, look at some of these bids and make sure that the plants are appropriate. He's updating our plant list for drought tolerant. He's actually going to remove some of the plants that he had on his original list. But I looked at some of the proposals. Some of them seem good. Some of them, I don't know about the manzanitas. You can see them over in the pilot project, but I just don't feel like they fit the aesthetic of what we have here. I just rather approve this conditional that Garth reviews it and gives his professional opinion before we plant.
Garth Ruffner being the landscape architect
Yeah,
who we retained at the last meeting.
that's a good
Yeah,
motion.
it's a good motion. Is that
Okay,
your
thanks.
motion? Ashley?
Yes, that's my motion.
Okay.
That it's reviewed.
Well, and just to add in, he also said that we should not put any more plants into Nepenthe unless they're low water. Absolutely not.
Right.
So I'm assuming that that will be part of his review. Is it on? Can you hear me? No?
Yeah, yours seems to have given up.
Yeah.
Well,
don't-
okay, I can talk loud.
Or Ashley's.
Oh, okay. Does this work?
Yeah.
Okay, so one point that would be part of this is that Garth was very clear that anything in the future that we put into our community needs to be low water, where the drought is.
Yeah.
And so that would be, I'm assuming, part of his review and should be part of the condition, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, Betsy, did you get the motion down?
Yeah, I put that Ashley moved approval contingent on review of plants by Garth Ruffner. And I can add to ensure that proposed plants are drought tolerant.
Low
Okay.
water, I think.
Okay,
Sure,
proposed
okay.
plants are low water
And did I
use.
have a second? Was there a second?
No, we haven't even done the proposal. She just-
No, Ashley did.
Well,
That
it's-
was-
it's not just the low water, just appropriate design wise. I think his feedback in some areas was that it was a little too sparse. Anyway, I think he's going to do a great job for us.
Yeah.
Well, we have a motion. I don't have a.
I'll second.
All right, okay, good. Before we take a vote, any questions from the attendees? Yes, sir. Use the
Oh, I gotta use the
microphone, please,
microphone.
and introduce yourself.
Don Lancettle, 1010 Dunbarton Circle, Grounds Committee. What's the difference between low water and drought tolerant? Definition, please.
Ask him. I don't know. So when he's going to actually, I believe, speak to your grounds committee, and he used those terms, and that's why we're putting him in the motion. And so he will. I do not.
Well, one of the things too, that I just want to add that he did tell us, we do have some problem areas, like with all the ivy. For us to pull the irrigation out is really complicated. So it might be that we can put some, they don't have to be super drought tolerant or super water resistant because we're already stuck with, it's too expensive to remove the ivy. So anyway, he'll help us prioritize that, and I
It's a-
think we'll end up with a good result.
I just listened to the conversation and I think going forward, as Steve has asked before for clarification on thing, this is just a request for clarification between those two things.
Okay.
Okay, any comments from anyone else or from board members?
I do not want to.
I'm sorry?
We're not gonna, I don't want to discuss this at all. We have to discuss this. I think this needs to be discussed further with the grounds committee. So I don't want to, what Ashley was just saying, what she is proposing, I don't want to vote on something like that, okay?
I'm not sure. We have a motion
There's a motion and a second.
to approve
Okay,
the
I'm not,
tree ration. All right, Betsy, call the roll, please.
Okay, Baker.
Aye.
Okay, Gray,
Aye.
Tenjeris,
Aye.
Cook,
Okay, I just want to make sure that I understand the motion. And the motion was to move forward with taking into account what Garth recommended. Is that correct?
That's correct. yeah.
Approve the proposal contingent upon a review of the proposed plants by Garth Ruffner to ensure that the proposed plants are low water use and appropriate for our landscape.
I'll vote.
Yes, aye. Okay.
So can I ask a question? We have retained Garth for a certain amount of hours too. Are we gonna have to keep paying him then for that? How is that gonna
Well,
work?
we've retained him for 8 hours. He didn't spend 8 hours on Monday.
Actually, 24 hours.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, 3 days of 8 hours.
So, but if we have those proposals, then we're gonna have to deduct this time from,
No, I think you're misunderstanding, Marcus, if I may. I think we're looking for his general guidance, not location by location.
Well, actually, I think Ashley did say specifically though, the plan, so.
Well, yeah, but his recommendations for what to do.
But I
in
think
these
it,
areas.
yeah, I mean, I think it ties into what he's already been contracted for, which is to review what we have been doing, what we're proposing to do. This is a good opportunity in real time to see what we've done and what he recommends.
And so I'm assuming that we could get him to look at these,
Yeah,
the things that we have on the agenda tonight in
Yeah.
a short time.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And I think once we do a few of these projects, I think we'll have sort of a cadence or kind of know what to do going forward. I think it's going to be a great learning opportunity for us.
but that's just for this
Yes.
proposal. No,
Right,
okay.
correct.
All right, okay,
Marcus, are you going
Is
to
your
vote?
vote?
okay.
Aye. Okay,
Okay, all right.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, item E, proposal for project manager for phase 1 siding and fencing. I'd like to address this. We have come to the year where we need to start replacing bad siding and fencing material. It's been, this one area, it's been what, 7 years?
2014, so
Okay,
it's
so
actually.
it's been 8 years, so we're due. And it's a large project, several $100,000. And yet we have honestly struggled addressing this as professionally as possible and cost effectively as possible. In our reserve study, we have budgeted for project management services. And through several recommendations, we have found someone. This is Reeves Construction. And let me explain what this fellow would do. We have a set of bid documents and specifications to do this. I'm in this business and I can tell you that the clearer the bid documents and specifications are, the better you're going to get pricing. So the first thing he's going to do, he's going to look at the bid documents and the specs, make sure the specs address what we want done and that they're clear for the bidders. Number two, before we solicit bids, he is going to work to expand our bidders pool. The more bidders we have, the more competitive it's going to be. Once we receive the bids, he is going to help us evaluate the bids and make a recommendation for a selection of the contractor. This may not always be the low bidder. Those of you who have been involved in this before, oftentimes you get a low bidder who is not qualified and doesn't know what they're doing. So we're going to have his recommendation for doing this. And then, probably most importantly, while the work is being done, he will come to the site and actually visit locations where the selected contractor feels like he needs to have a change order for extra work. And he will give us recommendations on whether to approve that or not. That's really the most important part of this, to control costs and quality. So, and actually, a bonus here is he came in way under our budgeted amount, which was just absolutely thrilling, like 20% below the budgeted amount. So we're asking the board to approve his contract, and so we can get started on the siding replacement, and we'll be doing it as professionally and cost effectively as we can.
So John, I just have one question, and that is that in the task that he has put out, how long, do we have a price for the total project from him?
Yeah,
I mean, he has, no, it's like based upon a 40-week timeline. So, okay, so that's that's a year, right? No, it's
Right.
not quite a
With
year.
not quite a
It's not
year.
quite a year.
Not
Okay,
quite a
that's
year.
fine.
yeah, yeah.
That's fine.
He showed that as an optional task. I don't know why he did that, because when we talked to him, he said, we really need that. So this would be the complete soup to
Right,
nuts, soup to
right.
nuts work. Yeah.
$67,300.
Yeah. We had budgeted like 85,000.
Yes, and the allocation is 82,000.
No, and I certainly believe that we need someone to oversee the project.
Yeah, I mean, we're all lay people, and this is a big chunk of money to do the siding work, and this is a small percentage of that. Any comments from the audience? Yes. Are you injured?
I think what you're doing in terms of having someone oversee the project's a great idea. But I have a very basic question. My house is within the group that's to be painted. I don't think my house needs painting. So my basic question is, has anyone really looked at this from the point of view, do those houses really need painting now? I know, because I've worked with Browning 20 years ago, that he's got a schedule. And the time is up, right? So why are we painting these houses? Is it because Bob says it on the schedule, or somebody really looked at the houses and decided that they need painting? Because I don't think mine does. I'm no expert. But before we spend 800,000 or whatever it is to paint it this year,
Yeah, it's really not even the paint that drives this project. It's the wood repairs that are needed. Hopefully,
sorry, Beth.
it's not really the paint that drives the need for the project. It's the need for wood repairs, sadly. So the siding, the fencing, they're failing possibly sooner than the paint. And once, I mean, we've taken some steps as a community to reduce the amount of wear on the siding by having the drip installed, so we don't have spray heads constantly spraying our fences and siding. So it's improving. This go round, they are looking to use DuraTemp, which is an engineered product for the siding. So it's possible that in 8 years, you won't do this project again. Maybe you will do it in 15 years, but right now there's a lot of dry rot that we've been putting off.
well, I've looked at that. I followed the inspectors around the other day when he came to my house and watched him. There's really nothing that he's found, no siding that needs replacing, whatever. And I realize there's certain areas where that, is a problem and probably ought to be replaced and painted. But I don't see painting every house for that reason. And, if you want to talk about fences, yeah,
Well, let me
spend some money
yeah.
on fences. They're falling down everywhere. But as far as the houses are concerned, I guess it's kind of a rhetorical question, but you're spending a whole lot of money. Are we sure that we need to do it now?
Well, let me weigh in on this, and I appreciate your comment. Honestly, this is a preventative maintenance issue. We have a schedule to make sure that everything is solid and well maintained as possible. That includes the painting. We may have situations where, as in your case, you feel that the painting is not required, and yet I think it probably would be wise to do it.
Okay, you're spending my money.
And mine too.
I understand, but
Sure,
I'm more and more concerned, having gotten involved in the last year in various projects, including the lighting and a few other things. And I see you have 3 bids for fences. I think it's on tonight, and they range from something like $5,000 to $7,000. Does anybody look at what's actually going into that bid besides what they're saying? In other words, how many boards? When I've done construction in the past, when you get a bid, they tell you how much the materials cost, how many hours of labor is involved, things like that. How do you decide between $5,000 and $7,000 for the same fence?
Yeah.
We get all that information.
I'm sorry.
We get all of that information.
Well, you're doing great on telling us what you're doing, but I haven't heard anything.
Well, Betsy, could
that.
you explain the procedure we go through for evaluating
So,
fences?
right. So out of phase fences, they're first evaluated by the handyman, and we have a form that was developed by Will Vizard, who is a former treasurer and board member. And it basically calls out, they have to inspect the posts, obviously, inspect the pickets, inspect the gate, the swing of the gate, the attachment to the house itself. And they make a determination if more than 50% of the fence is deteriorated,
Oh, I
then
I'm sorry, I don't have any problem with you having to replace them. I'm talking about the
well,
cost.
right, no. And so once that is identified, then the handyman also identifies how many feet there is. And then the bids that come in also identify the feet, and then the scope is the same for everybody. So the type of lumber is specified in the request for proposal. The type of screws and nails that are used is in the proposal. The type of post is specified in the request for proposal. So all the bidders bid to that specific.
So we don't see that in what comes to the board and what we see. That's right. Because I mean, I've read them. I've read the agenda. Doesn't have anything about that in it. And I don't see how it can cost the difference between 5,000 and 7,000 for the same fence. There's something that doesn't.
Sometimes it's labor and, one of the reasons that the contracts, I mean, if we were to put the contracts up to, and the scope of work and the materials and their bids, and someone were sitting in the room that decided that they were going to bid on fences next time and they could do it for a lot less, I think you actually, have subjugated the confidentiality of a bid.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Peter, we're running out of time
I'm
here.
not suggesting you have to tell us as homeowners, but I'm asking simply the question, do you know how much a
Yes.
1 by 3 by 6 feet cost of that particular
Yes.
thing?
Yes, and that's why we have 90-page documents for our board meetings.
Okay, and you're satisfied
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that what you're
Yes.
spending is appropriate for
Yes.
what we're getting?
yes.
And I just want to add about, I appreciate your concern about the paint, but I think we're putting, at least this time around, we really took the time this time around to get the quality siding. It's going to last a long time. We're putting top quality paint. We're having someone monitor the project to make sure that they're not shortchanging us. But the other thing is, I know that there's some disagreement with the colors or with, I think at the end of the day, when everyone kind of decides what's going to work for us, I think if we end up with a better color palette, I think it's really going to increase the value of your home. And when
I
you look
agree.
around, you'll see some homes that look a little, they have a lot of trees. They need to be repainted. So what do? Just repaint that one and keep it the dated color. I think people are going to be really happy.
Okay.
So-
Pete, I want to chime in here quick for a second. I had very similar concerns like you do actually. And I can speak about my own house, okay? When we bought our house, we had downstairs, we had old windows in it, okay? And the 2x2 was falling apart. And I'm sure Betsy's tired of hearing the same story over and over again. But, like 8 feet of 2x2 could have been easily replaced for, I don't know, $200 or something like that, right? But because nothing was done for years, they had to replace the entire siding and they ended up in my living room.
Mhm.
The studs inside the walls were actually rotted as well. And I wish we would have more periodic inspections for preventative maintenance, so we could find small problems and repair the small problems and not wait until they become large problems, right? That's how I see it. So today we had a very interesting, a very productive meeting this afternoon, and we talked about some sort of an inspection program. And again, I don't want to talk about this too much right now, but hopefully we can somehow implement something like that in the future, so we can prevent large damage instead of, catch the issues, the problems when they're small, and hopefully that will cost us a lot less money in the future. So that's what I'm hoping.
I think that's wonderful. Appreciate that. And I appreciate the response to my questions and my concerns. But I have many concerns, and I know other homeowners do, about the cost of things and our dues and what we're spending our money for. That's why I asked the question. I fix my own fence because I've had to do that. I've asked for.
Peter, you're way over your 3 minutes here, so you've made your three.
Write a letter.
You've made your points.
Thank you, John, but I think it's a very important
Absolutely, yeah.
subject, and the fact that the board get a chance to respond
Mhm.
to my questions, I think is important
Sure.
for not only me, but the rest of the people
Sure.
involved.
Yeah.
Appreciate what the ladies are doing with the color. I hope somebody's got some ideas that doesn't make us look like we're part of a military installation, which seems like we've been the situation. Maybe we'll get a soft yellow or a nice silver color or something else, hopefully.
All right.
Thank you for your
Thank you. Sure.
indulgence. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
so I'm ready to make a motion to approve this. However, why does it say, oh, it says phase one, 170. I thought it said 1,170 units and 52.
No. 107,
Sorry.
yeah. All
Oh
right.
my gosh.
right.
Okay, so I move that we accept the proposal from Reeves Construction Management for oversight or
Okay.
project
That's
management.
super
I'll
nice.
second it.
All right. Any objection from the board? All right, without objection, approved, Betsy. Okay, next item, we have a proposal to correct a fence at 820 Elmhurst. Betsy, you want to bring that up?
I will do that. Okay, right, 820 Elmhurst. And these are the proposals. And yes, there is a pretty considerable price difference. And I think that sometimes there are different reasons why vendors do it that way. They may be banking on maybe there's going to be more work. And so they're bidding a little lower, hoping they can buy the job because they're going to be in the area anyway. Somebody else like CPR, who we really respect and think they do a great job. I know they're on a multi-million dollar job right now in Auburn. And so perhaps they're considering that maybe they don't want to take men away from that and bring them
Mhm.
down here. And so they priced it a little high, but they all were given the same.
Well, that's
Specs.
what happens when you ask people to bid on stuff, because they all, not only to think about the work, but to think about how much profit they're going to make and what their availability is. That's really common.
Can I weigh in on that?
Sure.
So Pete, I had CPR and JWS working on my own house, okay? And if I would show you without telling you who did what, I can tell you CPR did a way, way better job. Even for a blind person, you can, I mean, I swear to God, JWS did not a good job. And I'd be willing to pay more money to have a good job. I mean, that's me personally. I don't know if it, I don't want to spend the HOAs, you guys' money, but if I could choose, I would choose. critical
Marcus, would
path.
you like to make a motion in that regard?
I would like to, yes.
Pressure's on, Marcus.
I would like to do that, yes.
Please make your motion.
CPR.
Right. May I have a second?
I second it.
Any objection from the board members?
I think it's too much to take the highest one.
Okay, let's take a vote then. Call the roll. We have a motion and we have a motion and a second to hire CPR.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Baker,
Aye.
Dasher, Cook,
Aye.
and Tenjeris.
No,
Okay, and Gray.
no.
Okay. Okay, it
Have we
looks like the
used-
motion carries then 3-2.
Okay, all right. Okay, the last item on the agenda prior to the second homeowner forum is our pool and maintenance contract. And this is about, this is kind of a supply chain issue. This poor guy is getting killed on the cost of chlorine. So Betsy, could you explain this, please?
Yeah, one of the biggest problems is the chlorine, and I actually researched this after he contacted me. Apparently, during the pandemic, there was a fire in Louisiana, and that particular chlorine plant supplies 40% of the nation's chlorine. So it has not been rebuilt. It's being rebuilt, but it's not online yet. And there was some other catastrophe that took another chlorine plant out. So all pool vendors are fighting to get at chlorine. He's having to go further and further afield to obtain it. And it's just costing, it's raised his overhead to where it's not even feasible to continue working here at his current contract amount, unless he reduces the amount of days he's here. However, with our high temperatures and what happens to the
Mhm.
chlorine, it breaks down so quickly.
Mm.
Yeah, I would not be comfortable with your safety at 3 days a week, for sure.
We have public guidance on that. Don't we have to meet a certain standard?
Right, we are supposed to
So-
be doing daily testing, which is why we went to the 7-day-a-week model.
So
I guess
what's
6 years ago.
what's the proposal here?
So currently, he is charging $18.75 a month for 7-day-a-week service. He's saying it to keep it there, it would be 3 days a week. He could do 5 days a week at $2,225 a month, or continue 7 days a week, but it would be $2,475 per month. So it is a pretty significant increase.
The service that he performs, he never misses a day.
Oh, no,
He
he's
never
here like
misses
4
a
or 5 in
day.
the morning.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's been here 18 years. And the increases over the years are much less. And I can tell you, he did just get the contract for the new Campus Commons redone pools for the Park Corp. And that contract runs, I think they have 4 bodies of water, and we basically, we have the 3. I think he said that is in the $3,000 range, but mostly because their equipment is so outdated.
And their big pool's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, have a motion.
I move that we contract or approve the contract that our pool service, what's his name? Dale something.
Dale.
Sparkling clear.
Dale,
Mhm.
okay, and clear pool service at $2,475 a month. And we continue the 7 days a week.
Right, have a second?
You second?
No.
Oh, I'll second. I thought you were seconding.
All right, any objections from the board members?
No.
Any comments from the audience? Okay, without objection, Betsy, that's approved. Okay, it's time for the second homeowners forum. Does anyone wish to speak? Yes.
It's okay. Dale Shaw at 608
Dale,
Elmhurst.
get really
Come a
close
little
to the mic.
closer.
Dale Shaw, 608 Elmhurst. We talked about having the pilot project of the landscaping. Where are we on that? Do we have a phase 2 yet? Is there another
so what happened? That one sub area gets it and
Well, I
what?
think the board wanted to consult with a landscape architect before moving forward to get some guidance. And so it's still in process, would you say, board? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking at the irrigation a lot more and the water usage and being really strategic about it. So we need professional help. So
Okay.
We'll
So
see.
there's a possibility that there may not be any changes in the hedges and that
I
kind of
doubt
stuff.
that.
There'll be some
There
changes.
will be some,
Sure,
it's
yeah.
something.
We
It's
just-
just don't, okay, we're just in the process. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Dale.
Will Vizard also had his hand raised.
Mr. Vizard, would you like to speak?
Yes, just in response to the question about the painting cycle, as you know, John, but I'm not sure everybody does. The board's already pushed out the cycle from Browning's recommended 6 to 8 years. And the primary problem was explained is not the paint. The paint would probably last another year or two, but it's siding. And when we did push it out to 12 years, it turned out it was exactly twice as expensive as the 6-year cycle. So it's a linear increase in cost. So you don't really save anything by extending it out. You save a little bit on the painting, but you actually end up with more damage to the siding. So, and it's just not practical in here to say, well, we're going to do these, 150 or 250 houses, but we won't do these 100 houses, but we'll do them next year. And then we'll do some, you have to do it as a project. It's the only way to manage it and control.
Okay, thank you, Will.
Yeah,
Anyone else wish to speak? Peter?
This is just a brief update on the lollipops. I have finished the counting and marking them all. Betsy has them. I found that there are more than we had anticipated. The original count was like 632. The actual count is like 687.
Wow.
I've turned all that information over to Betsy as well as
Mhm.
my diagrams, which indicate where all the lollipops are.
Okay.
I have walked the whole neighborhood now. It's taken me approximately 15 hours to walk it all.
Is that why you're sore?
Why you're walking slow?
Anyway, so it's complete. The question is, she's in the process and she'll have to tell you about attempting to get the bulbs because we're
Sure.
now looking at getting 700 light bulbs.
Uh-huh.
I had originally gotten them from Amazon, just as samples. She
Yeah.
will have to explain where she's at on that process. We still have the two questions of who's going to change them, who's going to clean the things and put in the new bulbs, and what do we do with the old bulbs? Because as I've indicated, they have mercury in them, they're toxic, they can't just be thrown away. So we have to come up with a solution to those two problems.
Okay,
So just a little report.
sure, great. Appreciate the update.
No critical this time.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
I don't know how to get on.
Oh, Judy.
Yeah, am I just on already? I mean, you can hear me? Judy Brewington, and I live at 509 Elmhurst Circle. And I guess my concern is on the painting. And, just the words updated colors and so on. I'm just having a problem with that only because as I go around and look at each of the areas within our Nepenthe, and actually even Campus Commons, because it blends together, I really feel strongly that the colors that we have existing right now are working. They're not all the same, there's subtle changes. I think the colors, the new colors that I see there, I think they're tending to be too in the gray areas. And I think there's a little more life to the colors that we have now. So when you do your survey, you know, I hope that the survey is pretty clear to people that you don't have a choice, like, oh, I like that color, but you don't have a choice. And, you know, it just whatever grouping, you know, it gets one of the colors as such. I'm just, that's where I am. And I'm probably not saying it very clearly and so on, but I think the other is, it's more of a depressing group of colors as far as it's quite dark and grayed. So we all have different opinions.
Thank you, Judy.
I'll just respond to this in that if you go through the different zones of Nepenthe, there are different color palettes within each zone a little bit. And then when you go over to the villages, definitely you see some different palettes. So this is going to be sort of more, it's over by the clubhouse. I can't explain exactly off of Commons. I think the newer color scheme is a little similar to that, maybe not identical. I don't think, you know, I think some people are really unhappy with where they are over on Dunbarton. Some of the greens are too green and whatnot, but at least we'll get a chance to see what it really looks like over on Dunbarton. And then if it's a real flop, I doubt we would repeat it exactly. But in the survey, I'm hoping that we specifically name out each color with do you like, not like, do you like it with a different trim? Yes, no. So I think in the survey, it's going to be specific enough where we get the input we need to make a decision and go forward. And also looking at the old colors, which ones you like, which ones you not like. Do you want your house repainted? You know, it's going to capture all of that and we'll just see what happens.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Judy, thank you. Anyone else care to speak? That's the end of the agenda. We are therefore adjourned. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, everybody.
Adjourned. So fun.
I know, and I couldn't believe you weren't doing it.
God, my bad.
Still on? I need to turn.
My bad.
How do I turn this off? Or is it on? It is on.
Evil.